Because another focus, I think, is thinking about group activity, because a lot of you might start with single player activities, and then the students are just giving you back screen captures or a video capture or some way of representing what it is they've done, or they're inviting you to walk through their world, which they can do. They can send you the join code to join their world, and you can go walk through it with them and have them explain to you what they've developed. But more formal group projects, I think, are really exciting. And the group doesn't have to be children. The group can be families. And I think we're in a unique context at the moment where you might have multiple students from the school in the one family. Perhaps they could be getting into a world together to do something as a family project, and involving their parents. Now, a word of caution there, and this goes back to the lived curriculum aspects of it, that under no circumstances should children be sharing their usernames and passwords. So while you might invite parents to watch what the students do, they should never log in as the student, and they should never, big brothers and sisters and others should not be having access to their worlds. The biggest problems I ever faced in working with Quest Atlantis and other projects was older siblings using younger siblings' accounts. And really, we have to teach our kids, you're responsible for your account, you're responsible for your password, and you need to jealously guard it. It is your identity. And so they shouldn't ever let their parents log in as them. So while we might invite parents to watch or to play as an observer, they're not the person logging into the computer. They're not the person doing the activity on the screen.
It goes back to what you were saying about setting positive, getting students to set positive rules of engagement before they start. That's part of that conversation, isn't it?
Yes, yes. And people have said to me, oh, but kids can't remember their usernames and passwords. Well, it's okay for a parent to know the username and password. It's not okay for them to use it. They can assist the student to log in, but they shouldn't log in as the student. That's a very different thing. And, you know, I've worked in programs where kids had long passwords and long usernames, and they still managed to learn them. If kids can learn the word Muttaburrasaurus and learn how to spell it at 4 years old, 4 or 5 years old, then they can remember a password if it's important to them. So we just need to convince them that is important. So group activities, you can assign a joint project or a design challenge. And we saw in Lucas's activity, the kids, the most recent challenge was to design a campfire. And he's running, I think he's running a club in certain hours. So the students know that this club will be open at this certain time and the world will be open at these certain times. Now with Minecraft Education Edition and the join code, the world is only open while the host has the world up. So it's something, it's a tricky thing to deal with, but it's also useful as a teacher that students can be working on their own version of something in single player, but if you want the multiplayer to happen, then you need to have it up and to be supervising. A project team with roles, just the same as we do in a normal classroom, in our face-to-face classroom, could be a really good way to get around some of the equity issues. So a child who's maybe not allowed to get into Minecraft or use Minecraft could be the researcher in the team and do some other aspect of the work, or the art designer, or, you know, you can design a lot of things and not actually build them in Minecraft, but do the design work that goes before it. So find ways around that to create effective teams. Family play, and you heard Anastasia mention the Mindful Night. It's a new project on the Minecraft.net site that looks at mindfulness and has been praised by people working in the social emotional learning space as a really great introduction. Now, it's aimed at students between ages 10 to 13. But having looked at it myself, and we had our teachers assess it in the project in Victoria, I think it could be a really great space to play with as a family project. So to go through the world and do the activity as a family. So the child using the mouse and going through the challenge, but the family making the decisions and trying the activities together. And the other thing, a teacher contacted me today and said they had been playing the Mindful Night as a screen share. So the teacher was sharing their screen of the Mindful Night game, and the kids were deciding on how to go through the game as a team. So that whole screen share notion is another way of looking at it, with just the teacher doing screen share from their version of the world. So there's some fun ways to go with that. But that's a beautiful project, and I'm rah-rah for raising the flag, because I think the social emotional space is something kids need. Along with that sociability, I think the world has a lot to offer. And parents, if they played this through with their kids, will get a good sense of some of the capability of Minecraft. Now, okay, it's a designed world and the kids are not actually designing anything, but parents could see what possibilities there are for design and what the kids could be designing and building for themselves. So I think that's a really nice one. Take your family on a scavenger hunt in Melbourne. Now, in the Mini Melbourne site, there is a scavenger hunt already designed in the world. So you just need to download the Mini Melbourne, and you can give the kids the instructions, and the family could go off together to find all the things. So playing multiple people at the screen, the student running the game, and go off and carry out the scavenger hunt in Melbourne. Now, if we involve parents in more than just standing back and seeing that their kids are logged into Minecraft, I think there's a big bonus for us when we're back in classrooms, because parents will have a better understanding of how our kids are engaging in class and why we want to have Minecraft in the classroom. So giving parents a nice role rather than just a supervisory one is a better way to go. So if you can find fun ways to get parents involved, that would be great. And in fact, the next conversation I'm hoping to host is for parents. How can we get our parents involved? What would parents like to be doing? What do parents not understand about Minecraft? What do they want to know? And how can we better support them in this current remote situation? So again, design a mini game. Kids can design a mini game of their own and then host it for other children in their class to play. And I know you can't supervise that, but there's no reason we can't trust our kids to do that. And that's the nice thing about all of this. I think we have to put in place a level of trust rather than, Dana Boyd says that young people learn best in the presence of trusted adults. That's not the police. We are not the police on their activity. We should be the trusted adults in their activity, and their parents be the trusted adults in their activity. So I would encourage kids to design a mini game and then invite their teacher to come play it, invite some friends to come play it. If you're in Victoria, they could be inviting children who don't go to the same school because you're all on the one giant tenancy. You can do that. So you put a little bit of trust in our kids and see where that takes them. The proviso on that is that parents understand that a student-hosted world or game or activity is not supervised by the teacher. So I don't want you to feel, I don't want parents to misunderstand that every time the kids are in Minecraft, they're actually being supervised by their classroom teacher. But we also need to teach parents to trust in their kids and give them a place to play.
I think that's a good point, Bron, and I think especially for teachers who haven't done it before or are wondering how they can encourage parents to help, a lot of it is explain to parents what are the guidelines and how do we do this and what should I expect. A lot of parents won't go near it because they're not really sure of what could go wrong or what sort of guidelines they should be discussing with their children before they start.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why I want to host a session for parents to hear what's happening at home. We're not there. We don't know what use kids who've got access to Minecraft are making of it on their own, and what concerns parents about that. Before Minecraft Education Edition, parents didn't understand that where their children were going when they were joining servers in Minecraft. And so now that they can go and join each other's worlds, that excites me, but it also will frighten some parents equally. So we need to give them some advice on how to manage that. And that would start with some of the basic rules of your child shouldn't be playing in their bedroom at midnight, hosting games and activities. They should be in a space where you can ask them what they're doing, ask them to tell you and explain to you what's happening. But I'm excited by the possibility that kids can create something and then invite their friends to come in and critique it and tell me what's good about it before I show my teacher. Have my friends tell me how to make it better. Have my friends play it and help me code a better game. Any other comments? Anyone hearing anything from parents about the use of Minecraft at home?
Definitely. About 2-3 months ago, I had a parent from Queensland. She said that her daughter, who's in grade 4 but at the grade 1 level with autism, she's just not connecting with school, but she loves Minecraft. So basically, I worked with her and I made a little golden book style, so she could read the little book, whether she wanted it printed out or on screen, and then that gave her the little story that she can then blossom out on and make Minecraft worlds to work with that. I've got 2 screenshots if you'd like me to just pop the links into the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Lynn, you want to talk about your booklet? Yeah, great.
Yep. So that first link there is the picture of the front page. And I'll just get the little sample of the inside book here. So what I did is we were looking at bees and getting the student to work with herself and her friends. And because I wanted it to be personal for this little girl, I've made it that it says, one day Lynn and name went for a walk, so I could actually put in the girl's name, and it became special for her. And the idea was that she studies all about bees and then goes makes a beehive, and then sends me the pictures back so I can, give the little girl a voice and praise her for her work as well. So I've sort of been looking at this in terms of some of the other projects I've done in the past. This one's based on a lesson that's on the Minecraft.net called Be a Bee. So it's just another avenue of getting the kids involved and excited about using Minecraft by just writing up these lessons. And I'm just sort of feeling, whether this is a viable option, and I'm sort of getting my feelers out about that. I've already talked to Bron about it. So yeah, so this is just another way of trying to see if we can get the parents to see exactly what's happening, and getting them involved in the other parts of it, and yeah, get the kids involved.
Fabulous, Lynn, and great. And I'll share those out with the group as well, wider. I think it's important to give some positive ideas to our parents, because if we're feeling overwhelmed, imagine how parents are feeling, and I'm hearing this, not just in Australia, but right across the world, that, parents are realizing how education has changed, but also how much work their kids are doing and how much they need to catch up in some respects. So we want to do that gently. That's why I'm suggesting fun social activities is a great way to start. But making it safe, because the Minecraft space you invite children into should be safe for everyone. And that's an important point to make. That's why I'm a big exponent of the LIFT curriculum having a base mantra of how to behave. So Mini Melbourne, I'm going to stop that video, but Mini Melbourne's a really beautiful resource, which is a one-to-one representation of Melbourne. So those of you who are from the Victoria Project know that. And there are, in that link that I've put on the page, are about 25 already listed learning activities that you could do in Melbourne, in the digital representation of Melbourne. So that's a really great one to work on, a world that is devised. And it's one parents might enjoy. So if children want to take their parents on the treasure hunt with them, or take your parents for a walk around Melbourne, that can be a really great way to engage the parents in being part of the space. And a way that doesn't, a low stakes way without a lot of technical engagement for them. In a more curriculum deep dive, these are some of the resources that I've worked on that map directly to the Australian curriculum and to the Victorian curriculum. So both of those are online and you can get access to them. So there are simple and quite complex lessons there that you can pick up. I know Anastasia sent me a link today to a lesson. Do you want to tell us a bit about what you were doing with Anzac Day?
Sorry, I've been on mute. Yeah, sorry, Bron. We have just been sort of exploring ways to use Minecraft on the with all these social isolation issues and so on. We've dabbled with a few sorts of things, which Joel might want to talk about later. But I was in charge of creating a simple activity for Anzac Day. When I mean simple, I mean it was sort of your typical, we wanted them to just research a person or place and respond or reflect on it. So I just thought, something came to me when I thought about the presentation mode, and I just thought, for the kids that are capable, the problem with which probably a lot of you have thought about is, I can see on the chat feed, some people saying problems possibly with technology and possibly skill sets because we're not around to support Minecraft. But I just thought giving them an option to explore a person, a prominent figure from Anzac Day by using Minecraft, and then other forms like a video or whatever they chose to respond with. And I was actually stoked by the amount, firstly, of people that decided to use Minecraft, because as I said, I was worried that with a very short-term one, and possibly they weren't very confident, some of them, with Minecraft. One of the first ones I saw was just a simple grave with some detail about someone from Anzac Cove. And then the latest one, I was up marking last night, and I actually just flicked an email to Bron because I was so amazed by it, particularly the metacognitive sort of thinking by this child. I wonder if I should share the screen.
Yeah, you can take the screen.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. So I would be looking, I'll just get up. Sorry, just give me a second.
While you're doing that, Joel,
yeah.
Joel can tell us, is Joel still with us? Can tell us a little bit about what, oh no, Joel's not with us now.
He's got a young child, so it might be that he's, what was yesterday, Tuesday? Just open up. Okay, here I am. It's called Proud Teaching Moment. I'll just go to share screen. Right. And you can see my very messy inbox here, which I'll move, or outbox. So as you can see, is this sort of large enough? Sorry, I apologise for the...
I can read the reflection, so yeah.
So what we've got happening, just in case anyone's interested, is slideshow. So the kids are uploading work through slides to us, and as I said, whatever work or response they were putting was going to be in this Google Slides for me to give feedback. And so the child has decided to take photos or screenshots of the Minecraft, which I was really impressed with, don't get me wrong. She's done an Anzac landing on beach at Gallipoli. Turkish shoulders view from the cliff top. And I think this might have been a little base as well. So, but this is the part that really I was stoked by. So my Minecraft, this is the child reflecting, because I was also giving them some parameters to it. So if you go onto the chat that we've got in our group, you'll see actually the task as well. My Minecraft screenshots show the Anzacs landing on the beach at Gallipoli. Because you can do 3D landscapes in Minecraft, it is a good tool to demonstrate the challenges the Anzacs face climbing the cliff. So you can see that the child has really explored the terrain, I guess, like virtually, and understood the complexity of the actual Gallipoli. And I was just stoked by that. And I started to put a feedback, you can see down the bottom. But in my feedback, I just continued to say, it is amazing, Bridget, how, you know, like we can actually virtually explore things that we can never, ever do in real life through Minecraft, and get a sense and a feel, and actually almost like our senses are sort of being explored through the actual game. So yeah, that sort of was a bit of an exciting moment. It's always good to share those ones.
Oh no, that was brilliant, because that the child had really thought about the difference between drawing a drawing of it and building it in 3D, and
Yeah.
you know, and had engaged with what the soldiers had gone through. So I thought that I was just, as I wrote back to you, I was really wowed as well. I thought it was a fantastic reflection, and I think that's why having kids reflect on what they've done, small, large, whatever it is really important. So finding ways to engage with reflection is vital.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's just as important to add in those questions at the bottom of the activity as well. I realised, because I mean, we do that as good teachers, but you realise in an activity like that, when they do get off the ground in such a big way, that actually feeds so well into and their thinking. And yeah, no, it was really amazing. So you can see the task. It's just a one slide. Each of our tasks are just one slide, and they give the child instructions. So I'll just unshare that now.
Anastasia, that is, oh, that's heartwarming. That really is. To see that thinking with the kids, I'm actually thinking that's exactly what the teachers need to see, and the parents need to see, is that evidence right there. Because I can tell you now that mum is going to be, the mum and dad are going to be so excited about that, because it's deep thinking straight away. And I love it. You're not going to get that from question 3 on chapter 4 of Anzac Day in the book.
And I could tell you so many stories. That would actually be a particular parent that would actually not be a massive advocate. We've gotten parents on board this year that we never had, because we had a one-to-one program that they actually opted out for a couple of years now. And they've said to me, look, do you think that it's worth me getting an iPad now? And I said, absolutely. It is absolutely. And yeah, so yeah, it's great. I mean, things like these chats and getting some experts to assist and having a supportive team, all of those things really make a difference. And then parents see that you're confident, that you can actually give them, and then it's not always going to work, but you can have a go, and then you will eventually get a success. So yeah, thanks.
We've lost a couple of the people who have been doing some things with Minecraft, John and others, but I'll point you to the document where we can be adding some further ideas in a sec. I'm just going to go back to sharing for a sec. Anyone else want to comment or add an idea? Or Marianne, you do something quite different with your students.
Yeah, I do. Are you talking about what I'm doing now with them?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just letting them play. But saying that, my kids actually did something very similar, but it emerged out of their play. They also made Gallipoli, because on Anzac Day, and one of the kids had been working in World Painter for one of our clubs before we were in lockdown, and they got talking, and the other one decided he was going to go figure it out, popped out, decided to make Gallipoli, and his first iteration, the terrain was correct, but it was the color wasn't, which I thought was pretty remarkable for their first iteration. And then they started building. I popped off, and when I came back, they had already started trenches, and they had an airplane in the air, and the kids actually run a Discord channel, and I just was keeping an eye on it, and other kids were joined in. This was not a server I was hosting. I host 2 servers, but this is a server that one of the other kids decided to host. So it's that's the way I've chosen to connect with kids throughout the school, is just to have a kind of open community where they could that we could have those play spaces together.
Just to preface that, because I know Marianne very well and her teaching style, she's invested a lot in her classroom being a community. And so those kids are aware or have developed their norms for behavior, and they know the repercussions for crossing the lines as well. But, you know, they work really well as a community.
Yeah, they do. Well, you know, you said earlier, they'll test stuff, and I actually learned this from a colleague of mine who, you know, we just treat it more like the game culture. Like, if you come in and you're not following those norms, you just lose the right to play with us, and that really straightens things up really fast, and sets those norms.
One thing that you just said that I've written down and circled, that the project emerged out of their play. They've come up with it. That is so powerful.
And that's why I know that Ron says that this is a discussion for people new to Minecraft, but and I do respect that, but I also think it's really important to keep an eye on those spaces that we're not constructing for them. And I think you can have both, and because there's a lot to learn about how those lines are a lot more blurred than we think they are as teachers. And you know what Bron was saying about having trust for your kids is pretty imperative. That, you know, everybody's going to make mistakes, but in the end of the day, you're going to learn heaps too. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think whatever you do, you should be leaving room for the kids to surprise you.
Oh yeah,
so
absolutely.
However you design the activity you're doing, whether that's Anastasia's engagement with a Gallipoli idea, and the kids chose what media to do that in, but leaving room for the kids to surprise you is a really important part. Now, that can be total open free play, and just watch what they do. I find watching kids build in Minecraft is amazing. Like, very little dialogue would happen. It's like some symbiotic thing going on where they're building together, building a castle or whatever it is, and they'll come to terms with, you know, who's putting walls where, and they didn't draw it out or map it up, or, you know, it's happening. So I think having room for free play is vitally important. And this is, I think we all agree, these are media that will never be as experienced, as talented, or as creative as the kids that we work with in this media. So there should be room for us to learn from them, you know, to watch what they do and learn where it could go.
One thing that I'd like to experiment more with, and this sort of fits in with Melanie, is the kids know the goalposts. If we give them a version of the curriculum that's, you know, in their language, and say, hey, we've got to meet this. How are we going to do that? How can we use Minecraft to this? They'll actually come up with better ideas than you could ever think of. And I think that they can actually write the assessment criteria based on the curriculum. And it's just incredibly powerful. It's amazing what they come up with.
Well, one of the tasks I get teachers to do when I'm doing face-to-face training is to get teachers to go back to their classroom and do one of the 30-minute challenges with their class, right? It's low stakes, just do a 30-minute challenge, see what the kids do. Throw it out there, see what happens. And then, but the big reflection is, ask your students then, if we had Minecraft last term, what could we have done? And have the kids invent the curriculum for last term. And you'll be astounded with the creative curriculum-based ideas that they can throw into the mix. So, you know, that's a really fun way to start. Do something fun, then say to them, okay, if we'd had Minecraft last term with all the topics we did last term, what could we have done with this? And have them give you the vision.
Yeah, that's so helpful for teachers, because part of not starting often, if you're new, is worrying about knowing everything. And when you open that discussion up and then you get some ideas from the students and you realise how much is possible, that's better. And the same with assessment. You know, my experience of my 13-year-old who's obsessed with Minecraft at the moment is she can't wait to show me what she's done and explain it. So, you know, all that worry about how am I going to assess this, you know, give them an open-ended task and then get them to, you know, show you.
Yeah, yeah. Give them room to unpack it and tell you what they did. You can't look at a Minecraft build and know what challenges that child faced. They have to unpack it for you and explain, you know, the things, the nitty-gritty things that they fussed about, you know, the things that they were trying to replicate or create an authentic space, you know. So that's, to me, is important. The reflection is so vital.
And talk about social emotional well-being. They feel such a sense of pride of having overcome the difficulties and having completed things that look amazing and impress you and demonstrate their learning.
Absolutely. And then find ways to say that to your parents, you know, because we need to bring parents into this conversation to see what it is their kids are doing. And I'm sure, you know, that those of us who have attempted this with parents are that one step remote when we're doing this in classrooms. We've got this fantastic opportunity at the moment for them to see, you know, have a window into what it is we're trying to accomplish.
Can I just ask, is there anyone that you know of that's using Minecraft with senior students? Like my year 11 business studies students are very disengaged with the whole process. This remote learning, I mean, they were disengaged before we went to remote learning. So for, you know, 5 out of 6 of my students haven't returned any work, yeah, for the last 4 weeks of last term with remote learning. You know, they're in grave danger of being N awarded and, yeah, of failing altogether. And I'm certainly looking at different ways of trying to engage these kids. I mean, as Bron would know, you know, I've had a lot of experience with Quest Atlantis, but not with Minecraft at this sort of level. So yeah.
Is it VCAL Kids or VCE?
New South Wales, HSC.
Okay. There is one lesson plan I've been working on, which is called the Global Market, where the kids actually create a great big beautiful flea market. And in that they have to sell wares that they make. And there's a couple of ways that we can use my lesson. One is, you know, to as a sort of self-awareness and promote yourself or your country or your race, whatever you want to do with it. But another thing is you can do trading in Minecraft. So one thing that you might want to do is get them to actually set up a business and then build their own shop. They have to build their business plan. They have to build their logos. They can then build a great big logo on top of their building. So they get this real sense of ownership. And I can tell you now, that's going to be incredibly engaging for them, especially if you've got 2 or 3 owning a company. And then because you can write Minecraft books, you can actually get them to write their business plans and into Minecraft and put them in a chest, and they can do that sort of thing. So there's a whole lot of different ways of integrating and working together to do with your particular curriculum. And And again, open-ended, to see what they can do in this amazing new world where they make their own community.
Thank you. That sounds good. So I'm going to have to upskill myself a bit more with Minecraft so that I can do that. I've just they've just been given their first assessment task because I mean I'm their second teacher this year already, and yeah, so there's a lot of issues, full stop. But their second assessment task is around doing a business plan. So, but that won't be due till the end of term 3. So that sounds like an ideal sort of option and somewhere for me to go. So thank you for that.
You could invest in it now to build it, and then the business plan could come later. But Helen, I'm thinking we should have a conversation like this just for the secondary curriculum, because
Yes.
we have, Lynn and I have been trying to stimulate some more discussion, and there's another member of our Victorian team, Julie, who's working equally with disengaged students in the secondary school, and she really thinks there's space for Minecraft to be part of that. So I think
I'm very keen with that, Bron, because my school is looking at, well, it was looking at becoming a big picture school next year. So kids will be able to get, well, I mean, who knows what's going to happen now, but, you know, they will be able to set their own projects and things like that. So, and develop their own things. And then it's the teacher's role in the big picture to then map it back to the curriculum. So, yeah, I can see ways of that working. So I'd be very keen on those conversations. And there's another teacher at our school, Andrew Murray, who I'm sure would probably be interested as well.
excellent. And we can find some teachers who are other teachers who are already doing it. And Marianne works in an intermediate school in New Zealand, no clue. And that's, is that middle school or is that like junior high school, Marianne?
Intermediate. It's years 7 and 8.
Okay. So yeah, that would be junior high school here. That would be our first years of high school in Australia. So yeah.
And actually, can I just add too that, Helen, if it helps at all, just in terms of the curriculum, New South Wales curriculum, which is obviously informed by the Australian curriculum, for the secondary students, it's all about designing solutions. So whether that's sustainable things, or whether it's solutions to global problems or wicked problems, or just designing things that help people. I saw the other day a video of, I'm sure other people have seen this or done this, a chicken raising machine that the chickens lay the eggs hatch, the chickens grow, and then they're cooked and they come out the other side as cooked chickens. So it was this whole sort of design process that had to be undertaken, and it had to be made of certain components within Minecraft to get the machine to function. And those sorts of things with a bit of student agency, you know, they've decided what the solution is that they're building, and then they go ahead and figure out how they're going to do that, and they get advice from mentors or work together in teams to design and make something and document the process. That's right up there with all the good stuff for the secondary kids.
I would second that, Melanie. That is, that's a really great idea for older kids. In fact, as much as a free range teacher as I am outside of school, in my classroom, they have to take on those really complex problems because of my curricular goals in school. And so they often tackle those, and they could be just really, really fun and rich in learning for the kids. Great thought.
And I agree with that. And I'm actually a trained accountant as well as a school teacher. So business studies is something that, you know, is right up my alley, especially I'm a management accountant rather than a tax accountant. But, you know, I've got feedback from one of my students that she just will not do anything that I ask her to do. And the reason being is that I don't teach out of a textbook, and so therefore it's not right.
Isn't that a sad indictment of school? that
It is.
that's the answer you get from a student.
It is, Bron, but it is actually really hard to, it's a mindset, it's a whole school mindset, and the principal is trying to change that. But, you know, the first assessment or first homework task I gave these students in week 7, which is when I took them over last term, had 2 parts, and the second part, none of them attempted. So 6 students didn't attempt it. And I said, why didn't you attempt this? And one of they all just looked at me very blankly. And then one of the students at least said, well, we couldn't Google the answer. We couldn't find the answer Googling it. And so they just left it blank. And so it's a very hard road to move up, come upwards from there.
Yeah, it is. I don't want to put a pause on that, but I think there is part of that in a solution in the technical side of Minecraft.